All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to get under the hood of AI and figure out why that super powerful chatbot of yours sometimes feels like it's stuck in rush hour traffic. We're going to break down the problem and then look at the really cool solutions that are paving the way for a much, much faster AI future.
You know the feeling, right? You feed a huge document or a really complicated question to an AI, and then there's that pause, that noticeable lag before the very first word pops up, and you're just sitting there thinking, come on, what are you doing in there? Well, it turns out that delay isn't a bug or a glitch. It's actually a predictable bottleneck, a kind of traffic jam happening deep inside the system. And once you understand this traffic jam, you can start to see how engineers are completely redesigning the highways to make it all work so much better.
So, the first thing we have to get our heads around is that when an AI gets your prompt, it's not just doing one thing. It's actually performing two totally different jobs, one right after the other, to give you an answer.
So, job number one is what we call the prefill phase. The best way to think about this is like a sprinter. Its one and only goal is to read your entire prompt, all at once in a massive, parallel burst of energy. This part is all about raw processing power. We call it compute bound because it's pushing the GPU's cores to their absolute max.
But as soon as it's done sprinting and understands your prompt, the AI totally shifts gears into the decode phase, and this is our marathon runner. Its job is to generate your answer, but it does it step by step, one word or token at a time. And this process isn't limited by raw power anymore. Nope, it's all about how fast it can access its memory. It's memory bound.
And this table right here, this really shows you why this is such a problem. The sprinter is compute-bound. It needs horsepower. The marathon runner is memory-bound. It needs a fast fuel line. Prefill is massively parallel, happening all at once. Decode is sequential, happening one word at a time. They are fundamentally different beasts, and we've been forcing them to run on the very same track.
And what happens when you do that? You get this traffic jam. A single big prefill request, our sprinter, can come along and just hog the entire road, the entire GPU. And that forces every other user, all those marathon runners, to just stop. It's called head-of-line blocking, and it's the real villain behind that lag you feel.
And you can see just how inefficient this is. During that compute-heavy prefill sprint, all that super expensive high-speed memory on the GPU is just sitting there, twiddling its thumbs. Then, during the memory-heavy decode marathon, all those powerful processing cores are barely being used. It's like you've built a machine that's half race car, half cargo truck, and they're both forced to share a single engine. It just doesn't make sense. So, if forcing them to share the road is the problem, what do you think the solution is? Well, it's a pretty elegant and fundamental shift in how we build these systems. The solution is a concept called disaggregation, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of one crowded lane, we give the sprinter and the marathon runner their own dedicated, purpose-built highways. We physically separate the prefill and decode jobs onto completely different sets of hardware.
And the benefits here are just huge. First, that head-of-line traffic jam, gone, completely eliminated. Now you can pick specialized, cheaper hardware for each job, and you can scale them independently. If you've got a ton of users generating long answers, you just add more marathon runner hardware. The whole system becomes way more efficient, way more scalable, and ultimately a heck of a lot faster for you.
Now, this isn't just some idea on a whiteboard. This is really happening. Major AI companies are already building massive systems this way. So let's take a look at a few of the pioneers who are making this happen. First, you've got a system called DisServe. Its main goal is to maximize something they call good put. That's not just about raw throughput, it's about the number of requests that are actually successful and feel fast to the user. It's all about finding that perfect, delicate balance of resources.
Then you have Splitwise, which comes out of Microsoft. This system takes the whole idea one step further and uses different types of GPUs. So it puts the compute-hungry prefill jobs on powerful, expensive GPUs, but it runs the memory-hungry decode jobs on cheaper, more power-efficient GPUs. A brilliant idea that can slash costs and power use.
And for a real-world example, there's Mooncake. This is the engine that powers the popular Kimi chatbot. Mooncake's big innovation is that it's built entirely around a huge shared pool of memory, like a massive memory garage that all the sprinters and marathon runners can access. It makes managing memory the central point of the whole system.
So if you look at them side by side, you can see they're all tackling this from slightly different angles. DisServe is all about performance. Splitwise is gunning for cost efficiency, and Mooncake is designed for massive throughput, even when it's getting slammed with requests. By focusing on that shared memory, it just goes to show how much innovation is happening around this one core idea.
But as you can probably guess, solving one huge problem often creates a new, interesting one. Now that our sprinters and marathon runners are on separate highways on different machines, how on earth do they share their memory?
Well, that memory is something called the KV cache, and you can just think of it as the AI's short-term memory for your conversation. It's what holds all the context so the AI doesn't have to reread your entire prompt from scratch for every single new word. It is absolutely essential.
And the size of the short-term memory can be just mind-boggling. For a big model like Llama 370B, if you give it a long document, the KV cache for that one single request can be 50 gigabytes.
And bam, there's our new bottleneck. We have to somehow move 50 gigabytes of data from the prefill server to the decode server, instantly. The way they do this is with super fast, specialized networking tech like RDMA. The best way to picture it is a private, dedicated data tunnel that connects the memory of the two servers directly, letting them share that massive file without ever touching the slow, public roads of the main CPU.
So to manage all this data, systems like Mooncake use a tiered system, just like your own computer's memory. The data for the word being generated right now lives in the fastest, most expensive GPU memory. The stuff from a few minutes ago might be in slightly slower DRAM, and conversations from hours ago could be on even cheaper storage. It's a really smart way to keep the most important data in the fastest possible place.
You know, this whole move towards disaggregation, it really points to a wild new future for the actual hardware that's going to power our AI data centers.
I mean, if the jobs are so different, why are we using the same general-purpose GPU for both? There's this emerging concept called SPAD, which stands for Specialized Prefill and Decode Hardware. The idea is to create custom chips. You'd have a prefilled chip that is just packed with compute cores, and a decode chip that has way less compute but is loaded with the fastest memory money can buy. It's all about purpose-built efficiency.
And that really brings us to the final question to chew on. Are we heading towards a future where AI data centers aren't just rows of identical GPUs, but are instead this beautiful disaggregated mix of specialized prefill and decode chips, each one perfectly designed for its unique job? It seems the traffic jam is finally clearing, and the open road ahead looks completely different than we ever imagined.